right there. See that? And Usher, Chris Brown. See, they trying to do something new. Commodores with Earth, Wind & Fire. We were doing that back 40 years ago.
And Lionel Richie, what did Chris Brown do to you? What did Chris Brown and Usher do to you?
I hate to see old niggas hating on young niggas, man. Stop this. You a fucking legend, Lionel.
I know people want me to get on here and, say some sad shit, but that. We kicking their ass, goddammit. I don't give a what these niggas is talking about. I know exactly who my fans is, and I know exactly who hearing this album.
Y'all, hold on, because what started as Lionel Richie talking about the legacy of R&B has now turned into one of the biggest debates surrounding Chris Brown and Usher's tour, and the internet is not agreeing on what he meant. Some fans are calling Lionel Richie a legend who was simply making a joke. Others are saying, nah, that went too far. And then you have another group asking the question nobody can seem to escape. Was Lionel Richie actually criticizing Chris Brown and Usher, or was he reminding everybody who built the stage they're performing on today? Because once that conversation started, fans didn't just listen to Lionel's words. They started comparing eras. They started comparing performances. They started comparing choreography. They started comparing stage production. And somehow, we're now talking about who flies higher, who dances harder, who puts on the bigger show, and whether the legends of yesterday could actually compete with the stadium spectacle we're seeing today. So yeah, this one is messy. What's good, StarPulse TV family? Welcome back. And before we go any further, I want you to watch this carefully because we're going to let the actual footage do some of the talking.
And Usher, Chris Brown. See, they trying to do something new. Commodores with Earth, Wind & Fire. We were doing that back 40 years ago. The only difference is between then and now, we didn't go to jail. I'm sorry. We're fine Christian men, fine Christian men. That's right.
Now, that's the part that got everybody talking. Lionel Richie recently joked from the stage about his own legacy, including the line that he taught Michael Jackson and Usher everything he knows. On its own, that can absolutely be taken as an old-school legend having fun with the audience. But social media did what social media does. People started connecting that comment to Chris Brown and Usher's enormous stadium tour, and suddenly, the conversation wasn't just about Lionel anymore. It became, which generation actually put on the better show? And that's where things get interesting. Because if you've watched this R&B tour, you already know Chris Brown isn't performing like somebody trying to recreate an old concert. He's using modern stage technology. He's flying. He's moving through massive productions. He's dancing at a level that makes fans pull out their phones before they even realize they've started recording. And Usher has spent decades perfecting a completely different kind of performance. The man understands timing. He understands crowd control. He understands how to turn a song into a moment. And together, they're putting R&B inside massive stadiums. In fact, Usher himself has said the tour is bigger than just him and Chris Brown. He has described it as part of a push to show that R&B belongs in stadiums while also acknowledging the artists who built the foundation before them, the Washington Post. So here's where I want you to pause for a second, because some fans are saying, Lionel is right, Chris Brown and Usher didn't invent this. And honestly, they're right about one thing. They didn't invent R&B. They inherited a foundation. Artists like Lionel Richie, Earth, Wind & Fire, Marvin Gaye, Luther Vandross, Prince, Donny Hathaway, and so many others helped create the musical language that today's artists continue to build on. But then, another fan looks at Chris Brown flying across a stadium and says, okay, but did Lionel Richie have this? And that's where the internet starts fighting. Now, I can already hear somebody saying, "Don't disrespect Lionel." And that's fair, because there's a difference between saying today's technology is more advanced and saying today's artists are more talented. Those are not the same thing. Lionel Richie didn't need a giant flying platform to create a hit. He didn't need 20 cameras following him around. He didn't need TikTok clips going viral 5 minutes after a performance. He needed a microphone, a song, a band, and an audience. And that is precisely why some older fans are pushing back against the idea that modern spectacle automatically means modern artists are better. But now, there's another part of this conversation that has made the whole thing much more sensitive. Some social media users interpreted the discussion as Lionel taking a shot at Chris Brown's legal history. And that's where I would tell everybody, slow down. If you're going to criticize somebody for something they actually said, let's use the actual words. Don't turn an interpretation into a quote. Don't take somebody's joke, add 5 extra sentences online, and then act like those were the exact words they said. Because that's how celebrity drama gets completely out of control. And believe me, Chris Brown fans have not been sitting quietly.
Now, Lionel Richie, you ain't have to say nothing about Chris Brown and Usher. You ain't got a doggone song in your show that has anything to do with Chris Brown and Usher. You could have kept that part out. And y'all always be talking about we supposed to be paying homage and we supposed to give y'all flowers. It's hard to give y'all flowers when y'all always talking about us all the time. You ain't have to say nothing about the R&B Tour. Talking about some Chris Brown and Usher, they say they doing something new. Me and the Commodore, we were doing that 40 years ago. That was 40 years ago. We didn't see it. It ain't new to you, but it's new to us. And we're excited about it. Don't come around and raining on our parade. It was 40 years ago, and you still talking about it. No, we did that 40 years ago. Then you gonna throw a shot talking about the only difference is we weren't going to jail. But y'all was on. Did you put that part in there? Y'all was on and y'all had alcohol problems. All y'all did. You could have kept that to yourself, Lionel. Now, you're getting out of line. You 126 years old. You could have easily said we did that 40 years ago, and you are excited that the young people are taking it on and continuing that, and it was fun when you did it, and you are sure that it is good for music, and you should have been congratulating them, but instead you wanted to take shots.
Yo, man, I just seen a motherfucking video with Lionel Richie, man, hating on Chris Brown and Usher, man. Stop that shit, man. I hate to see old niggas hating on young niggas, man. Stop this. You a legend, Lionel. Everyone's unique. We're dancing in the streets all night long. They don't get started, don't come around. Like, you a legend, bro. You was getting sideways dick sucks before these niggas was even born, bro. You in the Hall of Fame legends. Like, let them young niggas be great, man. You talk about, dude, we did that 40 years ago. Okay, we supposed to take what the legends did in the past and we supposed to upgrade that shit. Dr. J, he jumped from the foul line, regular ass joint. Boom, Mike came through. That's what you're supposed to do. Like, stop that shit, man. All the old niggas, stop hating on these.
Chris's response has been circulating too, and rather than treating it like an explosive war, fans noticed the playful tone. That's important, because if Chris Brown isn't treating the moment like a serious beef, should everybody else be treating it like one? That's another question for the comments. But here's what makes the situation even more fascinating. Chris Brown has actually shown enormous respect for Usher publicly. Before this tour, Brown rejected the idea of turning their relationship into a competitive battle, saying he wanted no smoke with Usher and that he was happy to be part of it. And Usher has said something very similar. He has described Chris as his brother, praised him as a performer, and explained that during rehearsals, they actually root for each other rather than trying to defeat one another. So while fans are busy creating Team Breezy versus Team Usher, the two men themselves appear to understand that there's room for both. And honestly, that's probably the most important part of this entire conversation. Because look at what we're watching. Usher isn't Chris Brown. Chris Brown isn't Usher. Their strengths are different. Their generations are different. Their stage personalities are different, and that's exactly why this tour works. Chris Brown can come out and turn the arena into a dance competition. Usher can walk out with the microphone and make thousands of people sing a song they grew up with. One gives you the athletic performance, the other gives you the veteran showman, and then sometimes they come together. That's not necessarily a battle. That's a relay. One generation handing something to another. And that brings us right back to Lionel Richie. Because maybe the real question isn't who is better. Maybe the real question is, what did each generation add to the culture? Lionel Richie had his era. Usher had his. Chris Brown has his. And now we're watching all of those eras collide in one conversation. But social media has another argument waiting. Some people are saying Lionel is simply jealous. Others are saying he wants the attention. Some are even bringing up his current tour and asking why people aren't talking about his shows with the same intensity. Now, StarPulse family, I want us to be careful with that one too. We don't know what's in Lionel Richie's heart. We don't know whether he was joking, criticizing, reminiscing, or simply enjoying himself on stage. So don't turn maybe into fact. But we absolutely can debate the music. And that debate, I'm here for it. Because if Lionel Richie walked into one of these Chris Brown and Usher shows tonight, could he still command the stadium? Absolutely. Would he perform differently? Of course. Would Chris Brown's flying choreography make the crowd scream? Probably. Would Usher's classics have everybody singing? Definitely. And that's the beauty of comparing generations. So now I want to hear from you. Forget the arguments, forget the fan wars, forget Team Breezy, forget Team Usher for 1 second. If you had to build the ultimate R&B stadium show, what would you take from Lionel Richie, what would you take from Usher, and what would you take from Chris Brown? And here's the big one. Was Lionel Richie simply joking about his legacy, or do you think he genuinely believes today's artists haven't surpassed what their generation created? I want you to tell me exactly what you think. And if you believe the comments cross the line, tell us that too. If you think fans are overreacting, tell us that. But watch the footage before you decide, because once you see the performances side by side, you might actually change your mind. And that's what makes this conversation so interesting. It's not really about proving that one generation is better. It's about understanding why Lionel Richie, Usher, and Chris Brown can all be legends in completely different ways. So, StarPulse TV family, the floor is yours. Lionel Richie versus Usher versus Chris Brown. 3 generations, 3 completely different styles, one enormous question. Who really knows how to own a stage? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe to StarPulse TV, turn on those notifications, and stay with us because this Chris Brown and Usher tour conversation is clearly nowhere near finished. And trust me, the next chapter could get even louder.
I don't give a what these niggas is talking about. I know exactly who my fans is, and I know exactly who hearing this out.